When we talk about anime protagonists, most people think of overpowered fighters, flashy transformations, or that one insane final battle that blows everyone's mind. But let's be honest, sometimes the characters who make the biggest impact actually aren't the most physically powerful, but the ones who are able to outthink everyone else. Those who take impossible situations and flip them on their head with pure intellect. From geniuses who can rebuild a civilization to detectives who are able to solve the unsolvable. Today we're counting down the top 10 smartest anime protagonists. Let's get started. Number 10. World Trigger. This anime drops us into a world under constant attack from mysterious beings known as neighbors, and the main line of defense is an organization known as Border. Agents use weapons called triggers to fight, and battles are often as much about strategy as they are strength. That's where Osamu Mikumo comes in. Unlike most shonen protagonists, Osamu isn't born with extraordinary power or talent. In fact, he's one of the weakest fighters in Border, but what sets him apart is his ability to think. Osamu analyzes enemies, studies their patterns, and designs plans that give his squad a fighting chance, even against opponents who should be unbeatable. He knows his limits and works around them, using his brain to turn weaknesses into advantages. You're not watching him blow enemies away with raw power. You're watching a strategist who refuses to quit, someone who makes brains and teamwork feel just as exciting as any flashy shonen fight. If you love strategy-driven battles, World Trigger is absolutely worth your time. Number 9. The Irregular at Magic High School. This show takes place in a near future where magic has been formalized into a science and taught in elite academies. Students are divided into ranks, with the most talented placed in the prestigious Course 1, while the supposedly untalented are put into Course 2. Tatsuya Shiba ends up in the latter category, but appearances can be deceiving. While he doesn't shine in the same way as his classmates, Tatsuya possesses an unparalleled understanding of magical engineering. He sees spells as systems, breaks them down into their smallest components, and then reprograms them to his advantage. On the battlefield, this turns him into a tactical monster. He doesn't just cast magic, he optimizes it for maximum efficiency. What makes him terrifying is how calm and clinical he is, calculating every possible outcome before making his move. In a school full of prodigies, Tatsuya is the one rewriting the very rules of magic, and that makes him one of the smartest protagonists in anime. Number 8. The Apothecary Diaries. Deep inside the Imperial Palace, where politics and rumors can be just as deadly as any weapon, Apothecary Diaries tells the story of Mao Mao, a servant girl who's anything but ordinary. Raised in a red light district by an apothecary, Mao Mao grew up surrounded by herbs, medicines, and poisons, and her curiosity has sharpened her into a natural-born scientist. But her life takes a drastic turn when she's kidnapped and sold off to work as a servant inside the Imperial Palace, and suddenly thrown into a world of politics and deadly secrets. When strange illnesses and mysterious incidents begin spreading through the palace, she's the one who pieces things together. She doesn't rely on guesswork or intuition. She uses observation, deduction, and experimentation to uncover the truth. While others get lost in gossip or superstition, Mao Mao stays grounded in logic and evidence, solving problems no one else can even understand. If you enjoy mysteries mixed with clever comedy and a main character who outsmarts everyone around her, The Apothecary Diaries is absolutely worth watching. Number 7. Summertime Rendering. This story follows Shinpei Ajiro, a young man who returns to his island home for the funeral of a childhood friend. But what begins as a tragedy quickly spirals into a nightmare involving shadow creatures and looping timelines. These shadows can copy people perfectly, and once they've copied someone, the original is usually killed. Shinpei gets caught in this cycle, and whenever he dies, he gets sent to an earlier save point that gradually moves forward with his memories intact. Despite this, instead of collapsing under the weight of despair, he learns to adapt. Shinpei treats each loop like data collection, carefully observing details, testing small changes, and learning from each failure. Slowly, he builds strategies to counter the shadows, turning despair into opportunity. He doesn't waste a single loop, and his calm, logical approach makes every reset feel like progress instead of defeat. Shinpei is a protagonist who shows intelligence isn't about flashy speeches or overpowered abilities. It's all about observation and knowing how to use information as your greatest weapon. And that's exactly why Summertime Rendering is a must-watch. Number 6. Tomodachi Game. On the surface, Tomodachi Game is about friendship, but it doesn't take long for the story to twist that idea into something much darker. A group of classmates are thrown into a series of psychological survival games where money and betrayal go hand in hand, and trust is constantly tested. In the middle of this chaos is Yuichi Katagiri, who at first seems like just another kind-hearted student, but once the games begin, his true nature comes out. Yuichi is a manipulator. He reads people like open books, using their own insecurities against them, and bends the rules of each game to put himself in control. He'll act weak if it means baiting an opponent, or even sacrifice something valuable if it earns him leverage later. What makes him truly terrifying is that he doesn't just solve puzzles, he solves people. Watching Yuichi dominate Tomodachi Game is like watching someone play chess with human lives, and that's exactly what makes this show so intriguing. Number 5. Saga of Tanya the Evil. Reborn into a world of war that mirrors early 20th century Europe, Tanya Degurachov looks like an innocent child at first glance. But beneath that appearance is a reincarnated soul of a ruthless salaryman, determined to survive no matter the cost. Tanya's intelligence lies in how she approaches war, not with emotion but with cold calculation. She treats the battlefield like a giant equation, balancing logistics, resources, morale, and risk to maximize efficiency. Her soldiers follow her not just because of her power, but because of her results. She makes decisions that others would hesitate to even consider, using strategy as her weapon. Tanya isn't motivated by honor or glory. She approaches war with the same efficiency she once applied to corporate life, treating every battle like a calculation to maximize survival and results. Watching her turn battles into boardroom calculations is terrifying, but also mind-blowing. If you want a protagonist who proves that intellect can be just as terrifying as firepower, Saga of Tanya the Evil is your choice. Number 4. Death Note. As you probably know, Death Note is undoubtedly one of the most iconic anime ever made, and at its core is a battle of the minds. The story follows Light Yagami, a top student who stumbles upon the Death Note, a mysterious notebook that grants the power to kill anyone whose name is written inside it. Instead of being horrified, Light decides to use it to create his version of a perfect world, one where he plays God. But his actions don't go unnoticed. The world's greatest detective, a mysterious figure known only as L, takes on the challenge of catching the person behind the killings. What follows is a battle of minds unlike anything else in anime, one where every move and every mistake could be fatal. Light stands out as a protagonist because of how dangerously intelligent he is. He doesn't just use a notebook recklessly, he crafts alibis, manipulates those around him, and constantly thinks several steps ahead of both the police and L. The tension of Death Note comes from watching Light's genius clash against L's deductions. This constant back and forth dueling between these intellectual elite is precisely why this series will go down as one of the greatest of all time. Number 3. Classroom of the Elite. This story follows a class of students at an elite high school competing in a ruthless system where status and survival depend on manipulation, alliances, and strategy. At the center of it all is Kiyotaka Yanakoji, a student who deliberately hides his abilities by acting like an average background character. But behind that mask is one of the sharpest minds in all of anime. He manipulates situations from the shadows, steering classmates into conflicts and resolutions that always end with him holding the advantage. Yanakoji understands human psychology so well that he can predict exactly how people will act, and he uses that foresight to control outcomes, rarely ever having to get his hands dirty. The brilliance of this main character is that you rarely see him move until it's already too late. Every reveal shows that he's been quietly orchestrating everything from the beginning. If you love subtle psychological warfare, Classroom of the Elite is built entirely around it. Number 2. Code Geass. Exiled from the empire that betrayed him, our protagonist, Lelouch Lamperouche, leads a resistance movement not through brute strength but through pure strategy. Even with the supernatural power of Geass, which allows him to command absolute obedience, his true weapon is his mind. Lelouch orchestrates battles like chess matches, using feints, sacrifices, and long-term gambits to outmaneuver enemies who should be impossible to defeat. He thinks about how every move fits into the larger scheme, how every victory contributes to his vision of a perfect world. Watching Code Geass isn't just about your average shonen battles, it's about keeping up with a mastermind who always seems 10 steps ahead, even when the odds are stacked against him. And finally, number 1. Dr. Stone. When humanity is mysteriously turned to stone for thousands of years, civilization collapses, and the only person capable of dragging humanity back into the light is Senku Ishigami. That's the setup for Dr. Stone. After counting every single day that passed in his head to keep him conscious, Senku finally wakes up alone in a stone world. Using his scientific knowledge, he figures out a formula made from nitric acid mixed with alcohol that can restore people from their petrification. From there, his mission becomes clear: rebuild civilization from scratch. Unlike most shonen protagonists, Senku doesn't fight with fists, he fights with knowledge. He recreates fire, glass, medicine, electricity, and even communication systems, dragging humanity step by step back into modern times. Every invention feels like a victory for humanity itself, and Dr. Stone proves that sometimes the most powerful ability in anime isn't magic or strength, it's science, and Senku embodies that perfectly. And that's the list. Which genius do you think deserves the top spot? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more anime top 10 videos just like this one.